Hi guys, welcome to Knife Edge UK. I'm back with another video. Again, this is one of the most recent ones I've done, so I'm a little bit rusty and I will ramble. Not that that's anything particularly unusual. So what have we got in front of us? Well, it's another French custom. Yes, I have a bit of a thing for French custom knives. This is by Thomas at Grind Tactical Knives. He, as far as I'm aware, learnt under the helping hand of David Lespect for quite a long time, and so there are some similarities. But he's been continuing to hone his craft, and this is one of the more recent builds that he's done. So I wanted to put it on camera and show you. And while he's still doing fairly regular sales on Instagram, this would certainly be a maker that I would suggest you look into. So what do we have here? So we have a two-tone blade of RWL 34, very standard thing in the custom knife world. It's a very good steel. It's a very fine-grained structured steel made by Damas Steel Corporation. It's good stuff. This has got a really nice, very, very fine blast finish on the flats and the swedge, and then a horizontal rubbed satin over the top of this groove here on the flats, which is really nice. Beautifully done, very well dealt with in general, and I would say most importantly, this grind is ridiculous. It's almost, I mean, near as damn it, it's almost a zero grind. So even though you've got relatively chunky spine there, it's virtually a zero grind. Before we go any further, why haven't I done size comparisons yet? Okay, so this is the large version of his Speartac. There is a smaller one as well, and he does make a number of other models and versions. So here it is against a large Sebenza. As you can see, size-wise, we're dealing with something relatively similar here. It looks like quite a big knife because it's got quite a beefy, sort of chunky blade. You know, it has that slightly reminiscent, you know, Conigarius thing where the handle looks quite sleek and the blade looks quite chunky, so it makes the knife look bigger overall. Then we've got a 3.5 XM18 in the Bowie blade. And what else shall we show you? Seeing as, you know, we're dealing with crazy customs, this is a 3.3 Gareth and Jason Bull Shamwari. And what else have we got that we will put against it? Let's put a Spyderco Capara against it as well. As you can see, you're really not a million miles off. Obviously, the Capara is a much sleeker knife in lots of ways, but in terms of the overall blade edge length and blade length in general, and the handle length, you know, we're in fairly straightforward country here. So while it might seem like this is a fairly big knife, it's a full-size knife. Certainly, it's not insane by any stretch of the imagination. So we'll pick up where we left off before I realised I was out of order. So yeah, the blade, beautiful, really well done. Incidentally, he does this lovely, this is a relatively recent change for him, this lovely etch on the spine of the blade for his, or a laser rather, on the spine of the blade for his logo, which I really like. So, you've then got Thunderstorm Kevlar covers, which are basically burlap micarta woven through with brass wires. It's a very tricky material to work with. I've had knives in it in the past that have been annoying. This one isn't, I think because of how well Thomas has dealt with this material. But it's an interesting material. It's very pretty, but you know, if you're buying knives in it, be warned, it can be problematic. This has got a custom pivot that he's done for it. You can see on both sides, it's really well done and two-toned, which is just super pretty. Custom handmade pocket clip, really nicely done, super effective. Full length titanium backspacer and liners. This is a liner lock, but it's a beefy liner lock. It might as well be a frame lock, really. It's a beefy liner lock. Really nice lock geometry. No lock stick. Very smooth to disengage, and it drops shut beautifully. This has a crazy guillotine kind of action, but with that kind of high-end drop shut feel which you get from knives like this. And because of that groove, it also, you try and get down in the camera a bit more, it also reverse flicks really nicely from loads of different positions as well, and you can wheel it out with that also. So it's got multiple deployment methods, which is not something you get an awful lot from these French front flippers. They tend to be beautifully dialed, but very few of them have multiple deployment options. So this one's really good from that point of view. I say the lock geometry is really good. It's really solid and stable. Ergonomically, this is a masterclass in ergonomics. It is so comfortable in hand. If you were going to buy one of these to use on a regular basis, I mean, yeah, obviously I can't speak for the smaller version, but this is just perfect. You can hold back in a saber on here. It's lovely. I mean, that is one of the most comfortable knives I've ever owned, and you can place your finger up into this, your thumb rather, into this little thumb divot, and you have so much control. It's fantastic. It even works well in an overhand pinch, quite far choked up. You can also do that back. It's just so well done ergonomically. It's really impressive, to be honest. It's a great design from that point of view. You know, all the little fit and finish things that you'd hope for in a custom knife are here. You know, he's a slightly younger custom maker than some. He hasn't done quite as many knives as, you know, maybe a couple of the other makers you'll have seen on this channel. But honestly, this is really, really well made. He's dealt with the problems of the wire catching and sticking out on the Thunderstorm Kevlar really well. There's no catches on this. You can occasionally feel the wire. That's really normal on this material. But I've had knives in the past from other good custom makers where I end up catching enough on something that I end up having to, you know, lift or pull the wire out or sort it out in some way or another. And this one doesn't have any of those problems. Obviously, I knew that going in, that it could be an issue on this one, but it's not at all. Backspace is perfectly flush. It's just really, really well done. Pocket clip is, it's milled from the base. It's just really nice. It's simple. It flows with the design of the knife. It fits really well, and it goes in and out of the pocket really, really well. Negatives on this knife. The detent on this one is a hair lighter than I maybe would have chosen myself. It's not, I mean, it's not problematic. The blade's not just going to fall out of the knife or anything like that, but it's a little bit lighter than perhaps it could be. It gives it a beautifully kind of luxurious quality though. So I think on this knife at least, it's more a question of taste than it is. Sorry, I've been moving the knife around way too much and not keeping it on camera in this video. I apologise, getting overexcited. So it's really more a matter of taste than it is anything that's actually wrong with the detent. The detent's actually done really, really well. Yeah, it's another great French custom knife, and he's a maker right now who, you know, maybe doesn't have quite as much hype as a few of the other French makers and a few of the custom makers generally. So his prices from him are fantastic. I don't think he takes any orders on his books at the moment, but you can go and try and get knives on his drops on his Instagram, and it's well worth having a go because they are excellent. And certainly if you see one on the secondary, seriously consider it because they're great knives. Certainly if this one's anything to go by. So there you go, guys. There is the Grind Tactical full size. There we go. The full size Speartac. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.